accent. Hi, Ange. What's the latest team news ahead of the game tomorrow, please?
In terms of the other night, everyone got through that okay, so no issues from the other night. Obviously a short turnaround, so the lads still sort of recovering from that, so we haven't really done too much training-wise, but all feel good, and Pape Sarr's back as well, obviously. We had a long trip back, so we'll just assess him after training, but fair to say he'll be involved. I'm not sure to what extent, and then that's it from Wednesday night.
January window done. Radu Dragusin in, Timo Werner. Understand Lucas Bergvall having a medical this afternoon. If that gets done, all in all, happy with that window?
Yeah, look, it's been, I think I said last week, I think from our perspective we had some clear objectives in there, and one was we obviously, we had a real sort of gap at centre-back, particularly after letting Davison Sanchez go after the window closed last time, and getting Radu in early was great. Obviously getting Timo in early was also excellent for us with the kind of injuries we've had at the moment and absences, particularly with Sonny away, and the beauty of getting them in early is they've already made a contribution. If you leave it to the last day, which would have been yesterday, then it still takes guys time to settle, but they've both settled in really well, and even in terms of outgoings, I think we got some good loans. Alejo left yesterday, and he was developing well with us, but obviously got the injury. But great for him to get some game time now in a good league at a good club. Ashley Phillips, Selfie Divine. So from all those aspects, probably the only disappointing one was yesterday. I thought there was a really good opportunity for us, and the club just didn't feel, they didn't feel it was the right move for us, so disappointed with that, but ended up at Ferrari, so we just have to cop it. Oh, look at you all, you were ready to type away. I was going to pause just to let his phone blow up.
You threw me.
No, it was a good one, mate. It was good.
You threw me.
That's where I go.
Sorry. Right. Dragusin.
You had a flat day yesterday, so I'm trying to spark.
I was fucking it. Okay. Dragusin, Werner, Madison, they all had options with big clubs. Bayern Munich, Dragusin, Bergvall, Barcelona. This is great for Spurs fans. What are you and the recruitment team saying to these players? And what do you see this club, where do you see it going under your management?
Yeah, look, I don't think it's so much what we're saying. I think it's more what people are seeing. That's the important thing. Because, it's like anything in life. You can try and sell, a vision or sell something to someone. But if there's tangible physical evidence of it, and I think anyone who's watched us sort of in the first half of the year, or since I've joined, have seen the aspirations we have to be the kind of football team that we want to be. So that's not just me saying it, we're actually doing it. Okay, we're not the finished product by any stretch. We're giving young players an opportunity, guys like Destiny and Pape and Mickey and all guys in their early 20s who have played already significant roles. So we're building a team. So I guess from our perspective, it's pleasing that, hopefully we become a club that's a preferred destination, particularly for talented young players. As I said the other day, that there aren't too many hidden gems around. Everyone kind of knows, who the talents are. And, I really want hopefully our point of difference is that, I've always felt that, your football is your biggest sort of selling point beyond anything else, and hopefully we're showing evidence of that, which is helping us.
Finally, not a transfer one, but could be a toughie. Australia v South Korea. Sonny, your captain here. Who do you want to win?
Yeah, no, it's kind of a win-win for me. Obviously being Australian, I'd love for them to get through, and then we get Sonny back, but. Part of me would love Sonny to win an Asian Cup because, I know what it would mean to him. I know what it would mean to his country. They put great stock in that competition, and for Sonny and everything he's done for the game, for his country, for his nation. As disappointed as I will be, if Australia go out, I'd love Sonny to go all the way, and don't mind if he misses a couple more games for us.
Cheers, Ange.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. James Madison spoke after the game on Wednesday about how great the freedom that you allow him, but it's still within a structure. How would you describe it from your perspective, please?
Yeah, look, I think part of our sort of end goal is to create a fairly sort of fluid team and a team that, you know, like all the great teams, I guess, you know, has many avenues to success, so that, you know, if a team's trying to stop us, that there are multiple ways we can sort of get through that, and you can only, I think you can only do that if there is a certain sense of freedom within the way that the players approach it. But like everything in life, I think you do need structure. I think you do need discipline. I thought, as I said, you know, that's why I was disappointed with our first 45, not our first 45 minutes, sort of our last 15, 20 minutes of the first half the other night, is that we went away from those principles. And when you do that, even if you have that freedom and even if you have the talent, it's still very hard to impose yourself on the game. So, you know, like I said, that's still a work in progress, but you know, that's kind of where we want to get to.
You're back in the top four. How satisfied are you that, despite the injuries, missing some key players for a while, you still managed to keep momentum throughout most of the parts and stay true to your game principles?
Yeah, look, I think that's a testament to the players more than anything else, and the character of the players, because we have had some real challenges. We're not the only club, obviously, with injuries, but we've had some fairly significant ones, and that on the back of, you know, sort of, you know, pretty much changing everything about the environment. You know, it hasn't exactly been, you know, for want of a better word, stable for the players to really have a launching pad for consistency. And I think this group of players has really sort of banded together really well in terms of the spirit they have, the togetherness they have to overcome these things, where even, you know, in days where, you know, we've had difficulties, our football level hasn't dropped too much, and our results, you know, apart from, obviously, we had a spell, we lost a few games, but even then, you know, we were right in those games, and I think we are where we are today, mainly because of that, because of I think the players and their character, and that's important, because, you know, you can't have just the football, you need the other stuff as well, and sometimes that's more important, particularly when you're trying to build something.
Everton this weekend, Goodison Park can be a challenging place. How are you hoping to see the same mindset from your players to apply the game plan properly, despite the atmosphere that can be overwhelming sometimes?
Yeah, it can, and you know, it's a tough venue. You know, the supporters there really get behind their team, and you know, even though their results have dropped off a little bit now, when we played them even here, it was a really tough game for us. You know, it's going to be a physical game. You know, we're going to have to be up for those kind of things. We've got a short turnaround, obviously, with a lunchtime kickoff after Wednesday night. So all those kind of things are potential impediments for us performing. But again, you know, going back to my earlier answer, is that, you know, that's the kind of things that the players have really, you know, risen to those challenges in terms of, you know, showing the character and belief. We've gone to some pretty tough venues away from home this year, and I think we've performed really well. We're going to have to again on Saturday, because it's going to be a tough game.
You mentioned the young players. I think you've got like the third or fourth youngest squad in the Premier League. Obviously, a lot of talented players come through the academy as well. How do you and the club, I guess, as a whole, ensure that becomes a bit of a golden generation rather than just anything else? Yeah,
look, I think it's a bad opportunity. I mean, I'm not too sure about your reference to the academy. I think we've got a lot of work to do in our academy, and I think Simon Davies is certainly one that's, you know, put a lot of emphasis and priority there, that, you know, we need to be doing better. I don't think we have the production line other top clubs have, certainly not, and even currently. It's why we're investing in some younger players, even for the first team. So, but for us as a football club, that's definitely the way forward. We've got to, you know, obviously my brief at the moment is still very much around first team and you know, building a first team, and I think you can do that whilst giving opportunities to young players. If anything, I think for sustainable success, it's the best way to go, because the team sort of grows together when there's guys of similar ages, as long as you've got good experience around them, and that's what we're trying to do at first team level. But we've still got a lot of work to do at academy level, and like I said, you know, we've got a great man there, Simon, who's worked at, you know, some of the best academies there are going around. He knows what's needed, and we've got some good coaches in there now, and you know, this year's been better, but in terms of a production line of young players, I think we're still well behind other clubs.
Was that something you noticed straight away when you came in, or was it something that was already a process and started?
Yeah, there's already a process in place before I came in, obviously, and you know, like I said, some of that is just around, you know, the kind of methodology we use, but also a little bit of opportunity, because I guess, you know, if young players don't feel there's an opportunity here, maybe we don't get the best ones, or we don't provide the opportunity for the best ones. My role in that is to make sure that, you know, the good ones we have, or, you know, do get an opportunity, and secondly, you know, other good young players around the country, not just around the world, see this as a club where, you know, if you're talented, you'll get an opportunity.
Brian Hill, obviously still part of your squad. There was some suggestions that he had options, that he maybe could have gone and perhaps played more regular football, but he wanted to stay and play under yourself. What did you make of that decision?
It's not an issue with me. I mean, there was obviously a bit of interest in Brian. There was a bit of interest in a lot of our players. But again, I've said this before, it's not my role to kind of, you know, push people out in that kind of situation. You know, I still very much regard them as our players, and you know, Brian's he's a fantastic young player, and he works so hard to improve every day. He had a difficult first half of the year with a couple of injuries, and you know, people shouldn't underestimate that, especially, you know, in a setup like ours where, you know, most of the guys who had a strong pre-season are the ones who have kind of hit the ground running. He kind of missed out all that, but you know, he wants to improve. He loves the environment here. We love having him part of the group. He's still a young player with plenty of time to develop, and you know, happy to have him around for this second half of the year.
Very quick one on James Madison. Obviously, less than 72 hours between the games. He had cramp towards the end of the first game. Is he in a position where he could start again this quickly?
He's a professional footballer, mate. I hope so. You know, unless he, you know, because if we're going to be playing in Europe, unless he wants to sort of pick and choose which games to play, I'd suggest that Matters will be right for tomorrow.
Great.
Finish this section with George at the back, please.
Hi, Ange. I just wanted to ask you about Richarlison. I know you spoke about, you know, how he's kind of feels freer since that surgery, but he's got 7 in the Premier League now, and that started with Sonny in the team. But do you kind of sense that he's kind of relished the opportunity to be the main man since Sonny stepped away, and to kind of help the team as much as possible?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one for Richie to answer more, but I think it's helped that he's kind of had a consistent run in the team, for sure. I think any player feels, you know, that confidence in himself. And I think, I mean, the goal is obviously important because that's kind of everyone's measure, but I just think his general game's improving. And that's the main thing for me. That's where I've, you know, seen, because, the way we play and the kind of player Richie is, I was always confident he scored goals, but we need more than that. And I just think his work rate now defensively, which was really important when we had Sonny up there at the start of the year, hasn't dropped off with Richie there. He's working really hard for the team. I think, you know, the K's he did the other night was right up there. And then his link-up and hold-up play is improving all the time. And see, I love that. I love when, you know, players still want to improve and still do improve, rather than just say, well, you know, he's played for his national team. He's been at this level for quite a while, but I can actually see him developing further. And that's what, you know, that's what you want as a manager and as a coach. And, you know, for us, he's becoming a really important player.
And sort of looking at the kind of team as a whole, do you know what I know you've not really had a chance to pick your best team, but do you know what your best team would be, or has that changed actually from what you thought at the start of the season to
The
now?
best team's the one I put out there tomorrow, because it's never worked that way in my 26 years of football. It just doesn't. You know, you never have everything in place. There's always something that, you know, will, and if you think that way, I think you box yourself into a little bit of a corner. You know, the only reason I made 2 changes at half time wasn't because Rodri and Skippy weren't playing well. If anything, I thought they were playing well. It just, we needed a circuit breaker for what we were doing and change things up. So it doesn't mean that those 2 aren't in my starting 11, or they were disappointing, or any of those kind of things. I've always kind of, as much as people have always, you know, thought in those terms of, you know, what's your strongest or best 11. Well, you know, every week, I try and put out what I think is our best 11, and then you go from there, and then you reassess it, you know, post game, going to the next one.